Hello, this is Jillian from Design Student Savvy, and in today's SketchUp tutorial, we will learn how to create a simple three-dimensional door for our house model step by step. We'll also learn how to adjust the dimensions of an opening in a group, how to use the Follow Me tool to create a simple doorknob, how to model a simple recessed panel door, and then how to add trim to the door opening. So as you can see here, I have my model. And if you would like to follow along with this tutorial from the point that we're at now, you can visit designstudentsavvy.com and sign up for access to my tutorials, and you will be able to download this SketchUp model. And just so that everybody knows, we are working in SketchUp Pro 2016. If you have SketchUp Make 2016, you will be able to open this model, but if you have an earlier version of SketchUp, you will need to upgrade in order to open this model. Now, let's zoom in on our front door, and as you can see, we have the opening for our front door and our symbol for our front door that is on our Plan 2D layer. So if we make that invisible, you'll see it goes away. And the first thing we want to do is create a frame for our door the same way we did for our windows. And in order to do that, we are going to need to adjust the opening dimensions by 1 inch all the way around. So let's double click on our exterior walls to open the group, and you can see that I know my group is editable because I can click on the face and see the blue dots. And we will simply use our push-pull tool to push the right face of the opening over 1 inch. So just push it and type 1 inch. And we could orbit around so that we could see the other two faces, but really that's unnecessary. If we turn on X-ray mode, we can see the other two faces of our opening, but we can't get at them because if we push, we'll be pushing on this interior face of the wall. So what I'm going to do is activate my selection tool, and I'm just going to draw a box from left to right around the top of that door edge. See how I get all the edges and the face that make up that top of the door opening. I'm going to click on my move tool, click on a corner, hold down the up arrow so that you know you are snapped to the blue axis. Let me just zoom out and make sure I haven't got something else by mistake. I don't think I have. So as you drag up, type 1 inch and hit enter. And then the same trick works for the left-hand side of the door. So I'm just going to use my selection tool to select the entire left side of the door and use the move tool, drag it back along the red axis, type 1 and hit enter. And now we have increased our opening by 1 inch all the way around. Just so you know, we're going to need to do that for all of our door openings so that we can put the frame in them. Double click outside or click outside of that group to close it, and then we can turn off X-ray mode for right now. Now the next step is to create the door frame. So very similar to how we created the window frames in the last tutorial, we're going to draw a rectangle over the opening from the top left to the bottom right, and then we're going to offset that rectangle by 1 inch. Click on that interior face to delete it. Then use the push-pull tool to push back, and you can either type 6 and hit enter, or you can click on the back edge of the wall to snap. Either way works. And now you can see we have this bottom lip, and we don't want that. So if you just click on that top of that and push it down, it will delete it. It will delete the face, and then you can go ahead and click on the two edges and delete those as well. And there is our door frame. So triple click on that and make it into a group. Now we're going to create the door. Very simple. We'll click on our rectangle again, draw from corner to corner inside the frame this time. Then we're going to create a recessed panel door. So first we're going to click back, push that back 1 inch to extrude it. And if you want to see that, you can turn on X-ray mode, and now you can see there's a thickness to that door panel back there. click on your offset tool. We are going to offset the face by 6 inches. So that's going to be the outline for our recessed panel. And then I want to have, usually in a recessed panel door, the bottom has a larger reveal than the top and the sides. So I'm just going to click on that bottom edge and I'm going to drag up. See how I'm snapped to the blue axis? You want to make sure you're always snapped to an axis when we're drawing these orthographic models. Type 6 and hit enter. And now you've moved that up so that the bottom reveal is 12 inches instead of 6 inches. And then we're going to use our push-pull tool. Push on that interior face and drag back, type 0.5 and hit enter. And now you have your recessed panel door. Go ahead and triple click on that. And we are going to turn this into a subcomponent called, actually we're not going to turn it into a subcomponent yet, we're just going to turn it into a group. So no need to make this more complicated than it has to be, just turn it into a group. And there is our recessed door panel. So we can take a look at it. Very simple. Like I said in the last tutorial, we don't need to overcomplicate things unless it's necessary. I want you to notice how the 2D symbol, the pivot point, lines up with the edge of that door. That's why we had to make the opening bigger, so that everything would match up. Okay, so what are we missing? A doorknob. So let's go ahead and create a simple doorknob that we can reuse on the rest of our doors. So we'll have this component, and then if we need a doorknob again, we'll be able to put it on those additional doors. The first thing I'm going to do is set some guides to indicate where I want the very center of that doorknob to be. And if you need to rotate a little bit so it's easier to see, go ahead and use your orbit tool or the roller ball of your mouse to get the door in a position that makes sense for you. Click on your tape measure tool. We're going to set the doorknob at 3 feet from the bottom, from the floor. So there is our horizontal guide. And then we're going to set it in the center of that reveal. So we're going to come over 3 inches. And then lastly, I'm going to create a guide that is aligned with the green axis by clicking on this edge of where the closet wall is, and I'm just going to drag that up until I get to that intersection point. That's going to help me as I'm creating the face of the doorknob that we're eventually going to revolve. So we're going to learn how to use the follow me tool here. Now let's create the back plate of the doorknob. So click on your circle tool, either in the large tool set or the toolbar. Click on the center of those guides, that intersection, and you can see the red X appears and you've got a green circle showing that that's where you're going to be drawing your circle. And you're going to click on it, and the number that you enter is the radius. So we want to create a 2-inch back plate. So type in 1 inch and hit enter. And if you wanted to check the measurements of this, you could use your tape measure and see it's 2 inches in diameter. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a cross section of the doorknob. And that sounds harder than it is. And it's going to be aligned to the green axis. So in case you need some refreshing, right now, this is our red axis, this is our green axis, and this is our blue axis. So let's get started. We're going to start at the very top of the circle, and using our pencil, we're going to draw a line out, make sure it's aligned to that green axis. We're going to draw 0.25 inches. That's going to represent the thickness of our back plate. Then we're going to draw a section down, so we're snapped to the blue axis. That is 0.5 inches. And then over again, snap to the green axis, 0.25 inches. And then we're going to draw another line over again, still on the green axis, 1 inch. Okay, this is where we're going to create the arc of the doorknob. So this is kind of a guide for me that I'm just going to delete later. So click on your arc tool, and we're going to click once. Actually, make sure you've got this arc selected. So in this arc, you are clicking your first point and then your second point, and then you're creating the bulge. So that's the arc. We don't want one of these other arc tools. We want the one that looks like this. So click on the first endpoint and click on the second endpoint, and then you're dragging up, making sure that you are aligned to the blue axis. And you are going to drag your mouse up and type 0.5 and hit enter. Oops, why didn't that work? Let's see. 0.5, enter. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete that bottom line right there. And then on the edge of our arc, we are just going to drag down to that center line that we created, come across over to the center line of the back, the center point of the back plate, and then up. That closes our loop so that we get a face. And now we can revolve that face. Before we do, open up Entity Info if you don't already have that open, and click on the edge of the circle of the back plate, not the face, the edge. And you can see it looks kind of faceted. If you look over here, it says segments 24. That means that that circle is made up of 24 straight lines. In order to smooth out the circle, we can increase the number of segments. So type 50 and hit enter. And you will see that circle appears now to be smoother than it was before. Now we're going to use the Follow Me tool. So we've already got our edge selected. So that's the first step. You want to select the line or the edge that you want to trace your face along. And it will make sense in a second when you see it demonstrated. And then you're going to click on the Follow Me tool. That's in the large tool set. It's not in the default up on the top. So go ahead and you can open your large tool set if you don't have that open right now. Click on the Follow Me tool. And then you want to, that edge needs to be, sorry about that, that was not the right thing. Click on that edge. Click on the Follow Me tool. Okay, so it's activated. Then you click on the face that you want to revolve around that edge. So I am going to click on, you can see the blue dots, I'm going to click on the cross section of the doorknob that we created. And it's like magic. So it revolves that face around the edge of the circle to create a solid. Well, it's not actually a solid, but you know what I mean. And then we can triple click on this doorknob and we want to make it a component. Now, I didn't have this part in the written instructions on the website, but we also want to set the axes for this component the same way we did with the windows, so that when we insert it, we can insert it from the center of that back plate. So turn on X-ray view, orbit. I just orbited around to the back so that I could see that better. And now we're going to make a component. So you can go to Edit, Make Component. And we're going to call this, let's see, we'll call it Doorknob Simple. And then we'll click on Set Component Axes, and we're just going to click at that intersection, and we're going to remember drag to the side of our red axis, and then drag out on our green axis, and that's it, and say create. And now we have a doorknob in our components list. So if you open up your components list, there's our doorknob simple. And I'm just going to orbit back around to the inside. I'm going to delete the guides, turn off X-ray mode, and now you can see my doorknob and my door. So let's turn the doorknob and the door into a component. So select both of them by holding down the Shift key, click on both of them, and then right click, Make Component, and call this door. It's 3 feet, so 30, and it's 80 inches, so 6'8". And now we have a door that we can use in other parts of the house. And we could set the component axis for that as well. If we select it from our components and set Edit, let's see, I think we can say, oh, we don't want to do this. Never mind. So the last thing we're going to do is create the trim around the door. And again, this is a little different from when we created the trim around the window, but it's still very simple. We are going to start by using our guidelines. We're still going to have our 1/4 inch reveal of the frame. So if you click on the inside edge of the frame and you drag from each edge a 1/4 of an inch and set a guideline, that will help us create our 1/4 inch reveal. And then from each of those, remember our casing is 3.5 inches. So we're going to set another guideline that's 3.5 inches. I mean, I just like using guidelines. I know you could just go ahead and try drawing this using inferences, but I just think it's more accurate and it's easier to stay aligned to your axes and not go all wonky if you use guidelines. So let's kind of zoom in at the bottom. We'll start at that bottom corner right there. And we're just going to use our pencil tool. You could also use the rectangle tool and then delete the intersections later. We're just going to trace around our guidelines from point to point. And that is going to give me a shape for my trim. Now, there are about probably 10 different ways to do this. This is just the way I'm demonstrating right now because it's pretty simple to understand. So there's the face of our trim, and of course we're going to use the push-pull tool. We're going to extrude it out 0.5 inches, and then we can triple click on it and make a group, and then go ahead and delete our guides. The last thing we want to do, let's make sure our entity info is visible on our trim. Go ahead and change the layer to, do we have a trim layer yet? No, we don't have a trim layer yet. So let's go ahead, open layers. Let's make a new layer and call it trim. And then put our trim on that layer. And you should go back and do that for the windows as well. So if I click on my window trim over here, I can go ahead, I keep clicking the wrong thing there, put that on trim. So go ahead and do that for all the windows as well. As for the door, you can click on that and let's make a new layer called doors. And we will change that components layer to doors. And then let's go ahead and make a layer called windows. And we will go ahead and click on our windows. And you can do this multiple entities at a time. So you can see I clicked on 3 of my windows. We don't want the trim, just the windows. And we're going to move them to the windows layer. So make sure you go ahead and do that. Put all the trim on the trim layer, all the windows on the windows layer, and all the doors on the doors layer. And that's it for this tutorial. In our next segment, we will learn how to modify this door component that we just made to create the right sized doors for the bedrooms. And we'll also learn how to model our bifold doors. In the last segment, we will model the pocket door that leads from the master bedroom to the master bathroom. It's this door right here. If you found this tutorial helpful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Design Student Savvy, so you can be notified of all the latest tutorials as they're posted to YouTube. You could also go ahead and visit designstudentsavvy.com. As I mentioned at the beginning of the tutorial, you can enter your email address there to get access to all of the models that I use for each tutorial, so that if you haven't kept up or you just need to know a particular thing, you can work along in that model and you don't have to build it completely from scratch. You could also sign up for my newsletter there as well, and I will notify you anytime new tutorials are posted. Oftentimes it takes me a little while. I'll write up the step-by-step instructions with the images and screenshots, and then I'll create the video tutorial separately. So if you want to know when the written tutorials come out first, then go ahead and subscribe to that as well. Thank you so much for following along, and I will see you next time.